Welcome, everyone. I'd like you all to imagine a smarter, safer, and more sustainable energy future. That's what drives the Anterix active ecosystem. Today, we'll dive deep into making it a reality. Unlocking the full potential of the 900 megahertz spectrum requires a collaborative effort. We'll explore how the Anterix active ecosystem is driving grid modernization and empowering utilities with cutting-edge solutions. 3 years ago, we launched the Anterix active ecosystem with a vision of a connected future for utilities. We are now over 100 members strong, including many who joined us at Distributech and are key players in making this future happen. My name is Steve Castaneda, Director of Strategic Development at Anterix. I'm thrilled to be your moderator for this insightful discussion today. Joining us are two of our founding ecosystem members. From 4RF, John Yaldwyn, CTO and founder. From GE Vernova, Mitesh, Parikh, product line leader, critical infrastructure communications. And last but not least is utility industry leader, Caleb Murphy, IT architect from San Diego Gas and Electric. We'll be hearing firsthand their experiences and insights on leveraging the Anterix active ecosystem and its certifications to help optimize product development, testing, and expediting the procurement process. But before we get to the questions, let's have the panelists introduce themselves. How long have you been in the industry? Please provide us some details regarding your role in your company. Let's begin with John.
Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon. And Steve, thank you very much for the introduction. It's a pleasure to be here, and we're very pleased to be able to assist people with helping reimagine utility communications. My name is John Yaldwyn. As you pointed out, I'm CTO and founder at 4RF. We've been involved in the industry for some 25 years or so. That quarter century of utility involvement's given us some pretty unique insights into the industry and some of the requirements of the industry that we specialise in addressing. So thank you for the introduction, and I'll pass it back to you.
Okay, and now let's go to Mitesh from GE.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mitesh Parikh. I'm the product line leader at GE Vernova. Yes, it is GE Vernova. We are a new company. We just actually launched GE Vernova on April 2nd of this year. We do carry over 135 years of legacy, GE legacy, which is, we are very proud of. And we are very proud as well that with the new company, we have a new energized focus in helping utilities address the decarbonization as well as the electrification goals that they have set forth. So we are really excited to collaborate with industry partners as well as utilities in achieving those goals. Thank you.
And Caleb? Oh, you're on mute, Caleb.
I hate it when that happens, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, everyone. Morning or afternoon, wherever you are. It's great. It's an honor to be on the same panel with these three gentlemen. I'm an IT architect at SDGE Sempra. Technology's been my career for years and years now, since I was younger. But SDGE has been on the private LTE journey since about 2018. So we've learned a lot, and we want to keep learning. So like I said, it's great to be with all of you.
Great for having all of you, and thank you for joining this panel. Let's begin with some of the questions we have. How did your company's journey in the Anterix active ecosystem begin? And what's the significance of becoming an Anterix active member for you? This question will be for John and Mitesh. Let's begin with John.
Thanks, Steve. Well, 4RF became involved with Anterix before you were Anterix, back in the PDB days, quite a while ago now. we were excited about the potential for private field area networks and the availability of spectrum, which is, of course, the critical enabling resource that Anterix Active membership brings, and for both customers and providers. So that spectrum is critical to the rollout of utility field area networks using LTE cellular technology, and we were excited to see PDV and now, of course, Anterix using innovation and an interesting approach to spectrum licensing to make that possible. In terms of the Anterix Active membership, it's a badge that we're proud to wear as it demonstrates 4RF commitment to utilities, the commitment we've made with now 3 models of Anterix active devices. And so, yeah, we're very pleased to be involved, and we're excited when entities go out and make spectrum possible and available for utilities, because that's good for the industry and it's good for vendors as well.
That's well said. And Mitesh?
Yeah, thank you. I echo some of the things John said, but and as we both companies come from similar background in a way, we started our journey as well a long time ago, in the narrowband networks, and we still, of course, provide the narrowband solution to our customers. But our journey in Anterix ecosystem began as we recognized the potential of leveraging the private LTE networks to really enhance our critical infrastructure communication solutions that we have. Just like some of the other companies, as is 4RF, we have been part of this charter and been a member since day one, right? And even before, collaborating together. So we have been in this journey with Anterix all along. In general, having the industry partners working on the standard-based technology, it really enables that building the solutions that more effectively meet utilities' needs, right? While providing the assurance and flexibility in scaling the networks, and that's what we are after, right? We want to make sure we collaborate together, we work together, and as an industry partners to really help the customers who need solutions. Right, they don't need just individual products. They need really the solutions to really achieve those goals. And I think that's what I believe this industry, working together as an ecosystem is really bringing on, for our customers.
That's great to hear. For context, I guess we mentioned a couple of terms, badges. For context and background, let's recap. Let's dive into the different badge designations. There is a Anterix capable designation, which means it's able to attach and support the Anterix band, but for some reason it's not yet available for commercial deployment, and or it has not yet received an FCC certification or equipment authorization grant. A device with this designation can be deployed under an experimental license with a pilot, field trial, or for demonstration purposes. Anterix also has an Anterix Active badge. This means that it's received equipment authorization grant or an FCC certification, and it's commercially available. And finally, a new one, we've designated an Anterix Catalyx approved badge designation for the second product that Anterix has launched, which is a SIM management, SIM profile, SIM provisioning, and roaming capability. We'll get a little bit more about that later. The testing involves failover and fallback scenarios and SIM profile provisioning. These tests are not addressed in certification designations like just getting the FCC certifications or getting GCF, PTCRB. So we see real value in this Catalyx approved badge designation. Are you seeing value for these types of designations with some of your products now that I believe I know that both GE and 4RF have received the Catalyx approved badge?
Yes, definitely. I mean, we do see value, right? Again, the badges, we can name it differently, but the thing is, what it does, it gives the assurance to the customers.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
That the solution that they are getting is something that's well tested, is a proven solution, and that's what customers are after, right? They want a solution that's proven, and I think the Anterix program, bringing this ecosystem together, having us kind of ability to test our product with the on the spectrum with other technologies that are available out there, being able to demonstrate this technology at various in various trade shows and the events that we do, it gives the assurance to our customers that look, they are looking at a solution that's proven technology that they can fill, and it is ready to be filled at in the real deal show. Yep.
John.
I think the badge is an extremely useful device, and I said earlier in my comments that we were proud to wear it. I think it's important because with the spectrum that Anterix offers, as you know, it's part of the 3GPP band 8 spectrum, but it doesn't fully comply with the band 8 designation in terms of the transmit and receive split, the difference between the uplink and the downlink frequencies. Well, that problem has been resolved now with the new band 106 designation, but for quite
That's
a
right.
while there was the complication, as you know, of vendor products that were labeled band 8, but they wouldn't work on the band 8 US spectrum. And so I think the badge was a very useful means of reassuring utilities that products that were labeled band 8 would indeed work on the US band 8 spectrum. As I say, that issue's been now addressed with band 106, but I think it's really a key way of showing that the Anterix ecosystem mechanism and the vendors that participate in that are serious about commitment to making utility operation in the Anterix spectrum using their products a success. And for that reason alone, I think the program and the badging approach is really quite valuable. It certainly saves time. It's a bit of a shortcut for utilities when they're doing their initial evaluation.
That's a great segue. This question goes to Caleb. As a utility, how does the Anterix Active Badge program aid in screening the technology, the spectrum bands of interest, and overall helps to reduce the burden on utilities?
Yeah, that's a great question. Utilities have come a long way in learning about the 3GPP and LTE 5G ecosystems, but we're all learning, and we're all at different phases of that. Some utilities are just starting out, and we've, for the most part, utilities have had some kind of experience with the LTE world, the 3GPP world, but it's been limited. We've used a lot of proprietary networks for years and years. So it's a long answer to it helps us see the value in a product without having to get into all of the details immediately. Those are those details we'll learn as we grow in the private LTE and private 5G space. But in the meantime, it gives us a bridge to understanding how compatible that device is with the band 106, band 8 spectrum. I think it gives us a big leg up. It makes it easier. I think the other thing it helps is to be able to do device certification. It can be very costly for each utility, right? To bring in all of the equipment and the knowledge needed. And it's not just a one-time cost, right? That's an ongoing cost because more and more devices are going to come to these networks. So these certification processes that are baked in and part of the 900 megahertz ecosystem, I think, is a huge value and benefit to utilities looking at different spectrum options. Other spectrum options out there may not have these clearly defined certification processes, the ecosystem smaller or undeveloped, and I think this is a big win for utilities overall.
How is the Anterix 900 megahertz spectrum fostered innovation of use cases and overall benefited operations within your organization? This will go to you, Caleb, but I believe it can you both GE and both Mitesh and John can answer as well.
Yeah, our business case at SDGE was built around efficiencies and innovation. Those were the two core tenets to that business case. So it's had a big impact. Number one, having a worldwide standard for these devices makes it, makes that barrier to entry to business value quicker. The time to deliver a business value is much faster, because most vendors that are providing sensors, field-based communications are familiar with 3GPP and are probably building devices for that ecosystem. So the time to market, getting value out of a business need is much faster with the LTE, 5G, 3GPP ecosystem. And I think one of the things specific to the 900 megahertz spectrum is the coverage density.
Right. Great propagation.
Right, gives you good propagation, fewer number of sites as compared to higher band spectrum. Right. And just the last really quick thing there is cybersecurity. Again, the 3GPP ecosystem gives us knobs and dials that we didn't have with many of the proprietary wireless systems we've been using for years.
And this is licensed spectrum, so you get the highest, interference protection, with this band. I could ask the same question to John and Mitesh. How has it fostered innovation of use cases and overall benefited your operations within your organization to be able to offer, a product to the utilities?
Well, the key thing for us is that it is standard. While we very much support proprietary solutions in private radio networks, there is also the case, of course, for standardization, particularly in more complex networks. And there's no question that cellular technology-based networks are considerably more complex than private radio networks. So with this level of complexity, I think it's pretty vital that we follow standard setting processes, 3GPP in particular as being the most active, and following those standards and developing an ecosystem based around those standards allows vendors to focus on producing a product that meets a well understood and well-defined set of specifications, get conformance proved for those particular applications. And innovation where it comes is in areas where there is a degree of freedom. And Caleb mentioned cybersecurity, and that's a really big deal for RF, as it is, I'm sure, to our friends at GE and others. And making sure that the industry is secure against the many threats that we face around the world today is absolutely critical. And there is a lot of scope for innovation in that space, while still producing a product which is standardized and has a common air interface as set out by 3GPP.
Mitesh?
Sure. Well, I would say innovation is our DNA at GE Vernova, truly, and efficiency is the key to our success, right? I mean, those are, it drives anything that we do at GE Vernova, and working with the industry partners, collaborating with Anterix and others, it has really facilitated that innovation and efficiency that we really needed in a way. Enabling the development of broader ecosystem of our private LTE, private cellular solutions, right, that are FCC certified, that are standard based, ready to operate on the spectrum. I think that's huge. Not only that, while working together, we also learn and develop effective cybersecurity solutions to make sure that we address proactively and mitigate the risk that our customers may run into with the vulnerabilities that they may find later on. So we want to make sure that collectively we are solving those issues. So from the wireless routers or edge devices or core RAN, all the solutions that we have available today as part of the ecosystem, I think we are really ready to deploy a private cellular networks now, at a large scale with our customers. Not only that, we also believe that this access to the spectrum and the ecosystem has also enhanced our efficiency in terms of effective communication, like knowledge sharing and marketing at the events as well. So, for example, just last week we were at the UTC conference, which was instrumental in keeping the utility community informed about this latest advancement and innovations in this field. So, I think it is bringing the benefit not only to us, but also our customers and the industry as a whole.
How do you foresee the continued evolution of the 900 megahertz ecosystem and solution development? John?
Thanks, Steve. Look, for us, the next big thing is 5G. And, this technology is applicable to more than just 900 megs. But let's talk about band N106 first. So the exciting thing here is that 3GPP has moved to allow or to enable 5G operation in the more constrained 3 megahertz bandwidth. Although, of course, as probably most people listening to this seminar will know, Anterix is moving with various utility partners to petition the FCC for a wider 5 megahertz bandwidth, which is a great initiative. But 3GPP, meanwhile, has also moved to enable the deployment of 5G and 3 megahertz bandwidth. So that's the first step we see. But the thing about 5G is that it's really bigger than just the low band 900 megahertz spectrum. 5G is a perfect complement to 4G. So it's not just about 5G and Anterix spectrum, it's a story about combining the low band Anterix spectrum with the other spectrum and indeed other carrier options. So it's not just an upgrade option, it's about, and it's not just about a 5G module, it's about a complete solution for public and private networks in band 106 and 106, private networks at 600 megahertz, the spectrum at band 41, N41, CBRS, etc. And that 5G is a really great complement right alongside 4G because it allows utilities to take advantage of the low band Anterix spectrum at N106, B106, perhaps just LTE only, but also to leverage public carrier offerings at 5G. So I think 5G is probably the next big thing. And the thing that's really cool about 5G, what's exciting for us, is a transition from 4G to 5G is going to be a lot easier, a lot smoother than previous transitions, with things like dynamic spectrum sharing, etc. So we see that as the next big thing. But having said that, and having sort of tried to underline 5G, because of course that's a very popular meme, if we like, in the industry, I want to go back to the point that Mitesh made earlier, which is that security is really, really key in this industry. And while people love to see headlines like 5G, underpinning that must be a continuous focus on good UE and network security.
Well said, well said. Mitesh?
Sure. We anticipate that the 900 megahertz ecosystem will continue to evolve, right, with increased collaboration that we are having with industry partners, and which will lead into the development of more advanced and integrated solutions eventually. And John just talked about the 5G as the next big thing. Yes, it is the next big thing, and yes, cybersecurity will is also huge. We want to kind of focus on those key areas while we are evolving the solutions. And as these new technologies really emerge, and the regulatory framework also adapts, right, because it needs to kind of come along together. I do see that more innovative applications and enhanced interoperability, as well as the improved scalability of the solutions, which will really drive greater value for utilities in general. Applications like AMI 2.0, edge compute, or bringing the more and more smartness, the AI ML at the edge, so we can do decision making much faster. Increasing the DR integration. I mean, all of this, right, requires that effective and secure and resilient communication, and that's what this overall solution will offer. And I do appreciate that actually Anterix launching, I think today or yesterday, I couldn't see, I remember the day before, but I did see that you launched the solution overviews of a library, which is, I think, great.
That's right. That's right.
Bringing awareness of these private LTE solutions and how they can help, address some of the complex use cases such as the wildfire mitigation and cyber and physical security. I think this is it's a great example of how we all are collaborating and bringing information out and solution out to our customers, which will drive the innovation in future.
Same question, Caleb. Evolution of 900 megahertz ecosystem.
It's really hard to follow up such great responses from John Mitesh. I feel like I'm just going to repeat exactly what you said, but
Yeah,
I'm going to
okay.
highlight a couple of topics there because I totally agree with both your responses. 5G going to be a big enabler. Integration with other networks via roaming, big enabler. Cybersecurity challenges, something we're always going to have to focus on. And with a worldwide standard, with billions of devices attached with the same technology, some of that just comes baked in, right?
That's
We're going to see continual advancement there. Battery operated devices. I think one thing that we haven't talked much about yet, Mitesh brought it up a bit with AMI, is battery operated devices that sit out in the field for a long time using standards like CAT-M, like
yeah.
NB-IoT, future 5G iterations, hopefully, of those, enable a lot more use cases. So if I was to wrap it all up in one, this standard, this large solution set is going to be able to solve from many more business needs than we've been able to do in the past.
Great. All great answers. John, you mentioned band 106 and N106. Anterix did have a big part in introducing that new operating band. And at the Distributech, we have announced that we've tested a band 106 module with interoperability to a band 106 RAN support. So these are the things that the Anterix ecosystem does. Let's get to the next question. Could you discuss a specific challenge that the Anterix ecosystem helped you overcome? Mitesh, John?
Sure. One challenge that I would say, that it helped us address, and I think in general to others as well, to all industry partners, would be the time to market and bringing out the solution faster, right?
Right.
We individually, we all, we can focus on our own areas, but when it's time to bring a private LTE solution to the market, you have to develop. Somebody needs to develop the technology and develop the chip for the particular spectrum that you want to operate on or band you want to operate on, and then you have to develop the modules, which goes into of course various devices. So it is really collaborative effort. And
Yeah.
if we individually try to go after, it's always a huge challenge, and we are seeing that in other markets. I mean, outside of the US, we are working with some of the countries where we are running into exactly same challenge, where they are saying, hey, look, we have a spectrum that potentially we want to go after, but we don't have industry partners or ecosystem to support this spectrum, right? So I think that's the biggest challenge that any of us would have in general, and I think that's what Anterix ecosystem have brought on the table, is help overcome those challenges in bringing a solution out to the market, much faster than individually we would have done by ourselves.
Time to market. And how about you, John?
Very much so. Look, 4RF was a late entrant into the LTE router market. We wanted to see compelling use cases and available spectrum as prerequisites to an investment by 4RF in this space. And Anterix showed very much that private LTE was a thing, and our involvement with Anterix showed that we could bring out our experience in a product to suit the market. With private LTE, 4G, and now in our 5G networks. So I've previously mentioned that this is very much about legacy, current, and future requirements. And Anterix has proved a very useful forum through the ecosystem to allow these use cases to be highlighted. And I want to pick up on a point made by Mitesh, which was about the challenges of bringing new spectrum into use and what's required from vendors. And I see, for example, north of the US and Canada, we have the recent Industry Canada initiatives at 1.8 gigs. And to be honest, it's going to require the same sort of ecosystem, someone to sponsor that for proper vendor participation in terms of devices. So this is something that Anterix has perfected. It's not just about selling spectrum. It's not just about selling routers. It's about connecting, customers with the spectrum, customers with the hardware vendors to actually produce viable solutions for utilities. And that's where Anterix has really done a super job, in my view.
Mitesh, you mentioned collaboration, and I could think of a specific challenge that the industry had, and this was getting the 900 megahertz band, getting the CBRS band, and even the MNO public carrier bands all in a single module. I believe that was a specific challenge that that you as a utility at SDGE had, Caleb. How can you maybe explain how the Anterix ecosystem helped you overcome that challenge?
Yeah, it kind of comes back to the value of spectrum is directly related to how usable it is, right?
Yeah.
What the ecosystem looks like. How quickly can you get a device out there to solve the problem that you need to at a utility?
Right.
In addition to that, utilities are looking for many options in terms of bands, right? Another thing that the Anterix ecosystem and 3GPP as a whole bring is that flexibility. I could roll out a device today where we don't have private LTE coverage and make use of the public carriers in that area that have coverage. And as I build out private coverage, I can now bring that onto my private network and give it a different treatment as a traffic type. It can also, because we're a 900 megahertz and a CBRS network, we can also make use of different types of spectrums for different use cases. Where we need that broad coverage, 900 megahertz fits the bill really well. CBRS gives us more capacity in certain areas where we need it for different use cases that have different data profiles. So all of this wraps up into having a chipset that supports all of those bands that utilities need, give us the flexibility to get that device up and operational very quickly. When we talk about other solutions that SDGE has used in the past, we've struggled in some ways. When our business unit comes to us and says, "Hey, I got this new really cool thing I really want to do," and we have a device that worked for other use cases, but doesn't exactly fit that new use case, we were less than successful in some cases. But with a growing ecosystem, plus an ecosystem where there's a lot of collaboration between what used to be competitors, and still are competitors, but still there's that sense of collaboration brought together into this group, it's a big win for everybody, honestly. It keeps the product lines maturing in the way that utilities need them, and that collaboration just keeps it growing. So I'm excited to see where things go from here.
And that's exactly the term we use, collaborators, when we help meet this challenge with the Anterix ecosystem. Within our collaborators, we had GE, 4RF and RED helping us, along with Sequans, introduce a multi-band module that fit the need for the CBRS band, the 900 megahertz Anterix band, and the MNO public carriers bands. And I believe you both have new products now to be able to incorporate, and we demonstrated that at the Distributech with such a module that you'll be able to offer. Is that right?
Yeah, very much so. I think, there's no secret that companies like GE and 4RF compete quite aggressively in the utility space. And that's really of great benefit to our utility customers, because the companies are taking, initiatives and rolling out new products in response to competitive pressure. But there are certain key issues that need to be addressed, and Caleb touched on that before with his comments about the unique combination of Band 8 and CBRS. For whatever reason, there were no available chipsets that would deliver that kind of combination. And getting a new chipset built from scratch to address a market which, while large, is still quite small compared to a consumer market, is a real challenge. And the collaborative approach was really the best way to address that. It not only made clear those companies that were serious about the utility space as their target market, but it also allowed the concentration of effort. And we are very fortunate that Sequans and Anterix were able to rise to the challenge of making that collaboration happen. And indeed, we have some great products based on the results of that technology, as do GE, I'm quite sure.
Mitesh? Yeah, same?
Yeah, I think we covered a lot there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like we talked about collaboration, right? Time to market, helping our customers. All of this requires industry partners to work together, right? Anterix sequence module that the sequence module that we work together in bringing that out to reality. I think it's a great example of how we compete, but also we have a common goal here in helping our customers, and we are collaboratively working together. Although we compete, we want to work together and bringing the technology that is much needed for our customers out to the market, right? And that's what we have done with it. So I think we need to continue looking into these opportunities and see what other are work problems for solve for customers, and see what approach we need to really take collectively and in bringing the solution for customers that they really need.
Both GE and 4RF are Catalyx approved, as you mentioned earlier. Can you elaborate on the benefits of testing the public-private roaming on the Anterix Catalyx platform? Was it helpful, during the Plugfest in last October?
Absolutely. The Catalyst initiative, I think, was well overdue, to be honest. We see even now some utilities going to RFP for SIM providers. To put things fairly simply, Catalyst addresses the very common utility need to have a private network IMSI, the identity, if you like, that's encapsulated in the SIM that we're familiar with the public carrier identity to allow for failover. Caleb talked earlier about the issues of having a failover partner, which is usually going to be a public carrier, where the reach of the private network doesn't yet cover. And we need this public IMSI and the private IMSI encapsulated on the one SIM. In some cases, people have multiple carrier requirements. They may have, for example, AT&T FirstNet. They may have another public carrier. They have their own private network. And there needs to be someone that can pull these things together into a single multi-IMSI SIM. And that's a challenge. And we're very pleased to see Anterix take the lead in putting together a solution for this multi-IMSI requirement in terms of Catalyst. There are other players out there, but having the vendor of the spectrum taking the lead makes life very easy for those utilities that want to go down that path.
Mitesh?
Yeah, I think we are glad that Anterix this Catalyx platform is available, honestly, and to really test and validate public-private roaming-like solution to ensure the seamless integration and interoperability between the private LTE and the public carrier networks. Customers may have different requirements. Customers may want public-private both network access for redundancy purposes, but also it's application. Right? There are applications that may have a much higher latency and some operational needs that need application to be on a private network from security standpoint maybe, and maybe there are some applications can go over public network, right? So it could be use case driven as well, and so we need to make sure that we support our customers by having this kind of a roaming capability so they can enable various different use cases or have a channel available in case the public network is not available or private network is not available, so they can kind of roam either way. Also having that active capability that we demonstrated at Plugfest, I thought that was also one of the really great value that we can bringing to our customers. It's an example of innovation, right? That we do bring along with it, where we have two different networks kind of active at the same time to be able to have a much faster switchover in case we need to switch over from one platform, from one network to another network. It's more like a seamless transfer, although it's not that seamless in a second. It does take a little bit of time, but it is a much faster switchover than actually traditionally what you would be able to do from public to private, which takes sometimes seconds to move from one network to another network. So I think, again, glad that we have a platform to provide a complete solution. And I'm sure it will keep evolving to make sure that we have a quality solution out there for them.
Caleb, you mentioned you've been looking at deploying or private broadband since 2018, or looking at private LTE. How has the ecosystem affected your development and deployment efforts?
It's come down to faster time to market. I know we keep talking about that.
Again, time to market, right? That
really benefits the overall utility needs tremendously. When the spectrum was newer, the FCC had just approved. We had that whole Band 8 question. Yeah. The worldwide Band 8 standard was a little bit different than the U.S. We spent a lot of time in our labs with devices. Is this going to work? Is this the right the right use of the spectrum here in the U.S.? Is it configured appropriately? Does it have network assigned duplexing? How does it accomplish it? We had all these questions. And in the end, Band 106 fixes that, but we needed some kind of bridge to get us there, and that the Anterix certification process, Anterix Active, helps a utility to quickly identify, yes, this is a solution that we need to look into because we know it's going to be compatible, and it helps us also identify the ones that may have not spent the time to make sure that it's compatible, that are just entering this market, maybe vendors that are trying to get a lead into the market, but we have a little less confidence that device may be compatible without that tag on it, that certification on it. So it's helped us identify, a short list of vendors that we know are going to be compatible. We don't have to spend that time doing R&D on. So it's been very valuable for us.
Yeah. Mitesh?
We've been talking about this again and again, time to market,
okay.
right? I think the time to market.
I think that's the word of the day.
That's the word of the day, I guess, right? But I'll probably throw more words at it as well. The secure and reliable communication, right? That's a key need. Resiliency is a key need from customers, and having this Anterix Active Badge and the program where we are testing and validating technology, collaboratively work together, bringing the new solution. It allows us to meet the high standard that's required by our customers, right? Like Kel said, they don't have to worry. They know which few solutions that are already tested and validated they can just go after, and they will feel comfortable because they know it's been tested and validated and have gone through a process, right? And that's what it brings to customer, that peace of mind that they know the technology will work. Right? They don't have to spend their time in figuring out which technology they need to now worry about, which applications they will enable, and what new applications they can look into, and how they can bring the most out of the equipment and the solutions that this ecosystem is really offering to them.
The Anterix ecosystem keeps a catalog of these devices that's been tested. So I think that'll be very useful for the utilities and the ecosystem members that are looking to, deploy a module or a chipset or whatnot. Anything to add to that, John?
Sure. We've talked quite a bit about time to market, and of course it is very much time to market for vendors, but it's really about return on investment for utilities. The private spectrum is not cheap, and what we want to do is reduce the time to value, if you like. It's the return on investment and how quickly you can realize value from the considerable investment that utilities need to make on spectrum. So Anterix Active is critical to us. It demonstrates our commitment through our platform and its various options. We mentioned LTE, 4G, and NR5G. course, various other feature sets that are important. 4RF is participating in all of the private network trials with our platform, and it's great to be able to gain entry, if you like, by flashing the Anterix active badge, and it's proof to the utility that this is a product that will indeed work in the Anterix spectrum. I would be remiss of me to just focus on Anterix, though. There are other similar ecosystems, and we talked a lot about security before, and I'd just like to touch on FirstNet. Even if you're not planning to use FirstNet public carrier capabilities in a private network, the FirstNet badge, like the Anterix badge, is a badge that indicates that the device, the product, has had a certain level of certification. And the advantage for utilities in the FirstNet case is that there's been quite a microscope run over the vendor's platform from a security perspective. And so I would strongly recommend that, as well as looking for the Anterix active badge, that you also consider the FirstNet trusted badge as an indicator of the vendor's platform capabilities.
Good point. Good point. Anything to add to that, Caleb? Or
I think it's a great point, John. I'm really glad that you brought that out, because again, we're taking a worldwide standard that's being used in many different markets, and we get a lot of benefits just as a side product, as a byproduct, right? Where other markets have done a strong cybersecurity evaluation of this chip, we kind of get it baked in. A lot of that cybersecurity posture is there baked in. There's a big value to that, and I appreciate the return on investment comment too, because there's a lot of money that a utility needs to put out to make these communication solutions happen, and getting that investment back in terms of reliability for our customers, reliability for the power grid in general, and being able to put together a critical communications type solution like this that gives us so many different cybersecurity capabilities is just a win for everybody.
earlier we talked about evolution. What's the most transformative aspect of 900 megahertz private wireless broadband networks for the utility industry? So this will be for all panelists. Transformative aspect of the 900 megahertz band. I guess getting access to spectrum is probably the first thing, I guess. Well, it's been a challenge, right?
Big one.
It's really been critical. That spectrum, you cannot build private networks without spectrum. Spectrum is king, and the thirst for spectrum by utilities is going to be continuous. I mentioned the case of Canada. Of course, there are other spectrum options out there. CBRS is one of them. And when you look at the challenges faced by the utility industry, and right now, if you look in Houston, we've got Centerpoint Energy and some of the other utilities in that area battling some really serious storm damage. And there is no doubt that private wireless LTE type solutions will be vital in helping them pull together the resources necessary to get those towers back up and the lights back on. So yeah, spectrum is really, really vital. It's the lifeblood of public utility networks, and that I guess is really the highlight, I think, for the Anterix effort, and it shows the far-sightedness of building a business based on identifying and making available spectrum for LTE deployments, and of course fostering the ecosystem of vendors that are addressing that.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll add a little bit. I think spectrum is the king, like John said, right? It's absolutely, if we look years ago we had these narrowband networks, and same way we had a unlicensed and licensed band where we used to operate, and we still operate in many of our customers still continue with that unlicensed and licensed solutions that we have. And there was a reason for that those were really popular, because they had, our customers wanted that increased security. They want private network, which is secure network. They want rely on a reliable network. They want resiliency in the networks, and that's what it gave them. And that's what private LTE is offering as well. So having this 900 megahertz spectrum available to our customers, having this ecosystem and the industry partners, providing these solutions that can work on this 900 megahertz spectrum that we have reliably is really enabling those advanced applications. In addition to this resiliency and the secure communication channels that it offers, it offers support for these advanced applications like smart grid technologies, whether it's demand response systems or distribution automation or AMI, whether it's some IoT integration that they may want to do. So it enables just a completely new domain for our customers now, right? Where they can even look into real-time monitoring of their assets, which they necessarily haven't done on the, previous narrowband networks, because you just never had that bandwidth. Now you have such a large bandwidth available, much broader, bandwidth that you have to be able to do and deploy new applications. So it gives them scalability, flexibility, and opportunity to kind of expand the applications that they never able to do on the narrowband networks.
Making that.
Oh, go ahead, Steve. Sorry.
No, we're making that spectrum available, I think, is the really transformative aspect of it. Previously, the utilities didn't have access to licensed spectrum. It's usually put up at auction, and usually in larger blocks. But this is being made available to utilities on a county by county basis. This is what I wanted to add. Caleb, what else?
Yeah, just to extend on all three of your comments about licensed versus unlicensed or lightly licensed spectrum. Unlicensed spectrum deployments have their case, yeah. Right? There's definitely a need for those. Depends on your use case. But if you're trying to provide a critical communications service, one that requires higher availability, higher reliability, having that licensed spectrum is key. That's going to be the foundation to providing that critical communications service. And just to extend on that a bit more and just tell a bit of a story, just recently happened to us. I think another big benefit to this, and it being licensed and certified spectrum, or devices that are certified on that spectrum, is the ability to bring devices from other utilities in a mutual assistance kind of need. Right. That's one big win that we see in the near future for us as we integrate our LMR push-to-talk radio system with our private LTE system and the capabilities of being able to roam to public carriers. When we have visiting utilities that are here to help in an emergency situation, try to restore service for our customers, they're probably not going to have a LMR radio that's compatible with our LMR system. And that means us either handing those radios out, buddy system where they're with somebody that has one of those radios. It makes things a little less efficient. But those responders that are coming to help in a mutual aid situation probably have a cell phone. They probably have some band support for CBRS and hopefully in the future the band 8106, and them being able to just bring that device and immediately be able to communicate achieves higher safety for those workers. It also achieves greater efficiency in restoring services. So, I think there's a huge transformative aspect there, and that's just one use case, right? That's just one way that I think we'll see some big wins in terms of safety and reliability for our power grid.
Well put. Looks like we're coming to, just 5 minutes left. As we wrap this up, I'd like to get your industry insights. What can you share with the audience about the Anterix ecosystem, your experience, any industry insights, to our audience here?
Well, one thing I'd like to comment on is the kind of multiple solutions. There's not one perfect solution for every problem. At 4RF, we talk a lot about the toolbox. There are a number of different solutions out there. Caleb's mentioned unlicensed, there's licensed. There's private radio networks. There are ones based on cellular technology, ones based on proprietary technologies. There's no doubt that the industry is moving towards pretty heavy cellular bias, but there are other tools out there. And there are indeed many different characteristics of platforms. There is no one ideal LTE router. Vendors highlight the different features of their platforms that they feel are appropriate to their customer sets. And 4OF is no different. So my advice to utilities, I won't call it insight, I think it's just a bit of common sense, is that the toolbox approach is important, and possibly having multiple vendor technologies involved in your network to make sure that you have both access to supply chain diversity, variety of different platform solutions that will deliver different aspects of what you're trying to do. Caleb's mentioned the participation of IoT type technologies such as CAT-M, BIS, those sorts of things. Having a variety of solutions is not just the spice of life, but it's the spice of our field area network technology, and it's what utilities need, I believe, to have an efficient and practical and well-oiled network.
Mitesh?
Yeah, I think similar along the way, right? There is no one solution that fits all situations, right? There are many use cases. There are different customer needs in different region, even within US. Customers probably have different needs, and I think they need to evaluate the options. We have several different spectrum options available, and we at UTC, I think there was a really good talk about different solutions, including the 900 megahertz spectrum that's available to them. We also talked about different solutions from routers or the private LTE infrastructure solutions available, and customers really need to evaluate what is really important to them. What use cases do they really go after? Do they need one solution, or they may need many solutions, right? They may need two different spectrum on the network.
Mm-hmm.
They may need CBRS at the same time. They may need the 900 megahertz, or they may need the public at the same time, because they have different applications that they want to enable. And of CBRS being on a 3 plus gigahertz frequency. Now, you may have if you have a higher throughput requirement, maybe you want to operate there. Maybe you have 5G application that you really need very, very low latency, ultra low latency solution, and you may want to operate in completely band with that as well. So I think there are options out there, right? We as industry partners are here to enable new opportunities and options for our customers. And like John says, you may need various industry partners to come and provide different solutions. One router doesn't fit everywhere. You depending on what capability you want to enable, you may want to select which device that you really want to operate on in particular environment. So I think this collaborative approach, working with Anterix as an ecosystem, is really enabling that the new technologies and solutions that our customer needs, and just open up new opportunities for them. So I think excited to be here. We want to continue working with the industry, drive this innovation. So thank you.
Last but not least, Caleb, industry insight.
Again, it's hard to follow Mitesh and John. When a utility begins down the path toward a private 5G, private LTE system, spectrum is that first decision, right? That sets the course ahead. And it's not a decision to be taken lightly. There are a lot of options out there for spectrum. They all have different intricacies. You have to do that analysis. But I think one thing that should really be considered when a utility is looking at spectrum, whatever it might be, is how usable is it? Is there a strong device ecosystem? Do you have options to expand to different spectrum if your use cases grow or change in any way? And I think what Mitesh and John both said about having that toolbox of options is extremely valuable and should factor into that decision-making process on spectrum choices. So thank you.
Great advice, great advice. And I wanted to thank all of you for joining our Industry Insights episode to commemorate our 3-year anniversary of launching the ecosystem. Thank you for your time, and looking forward to collaborate further in the future. Thank you very much for joining, and this concludes the Industry Insights webinar. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.